welcome back to English. Hi. Welcome to TTC's first term exam seminar. For people who are existing students, you may already be familiar with me. Hi, I'm Suet. For those who are new, welcome. Okay, now we are going to go into expectations of today straight away. Okay, we only have 2 hours today, and I am hoping to be able to focus and zoom in on essentially narrative essays in your long writing task. So today, we'll definitely be focusing on the long essay, the 120-word essay in your exam structure, okay? So for those who are expecting other things to touch base on, that may not be what we're looking at. Yeah, so hopefully everybody just starts off with the correct expectation to have today. Okay, so what are we looking at in particular? Like I mentioned, we're going to analyze the different types of essays that are usually available for your long essay components, and then in your narrative focusing on introduction and vocabulary upgrades. Take a look at your exam format first. Now, you should be quite familiar with the structural expectation of APT3 exam structure. So you have 4 papers here. Paper 1 and 2 are your written papers. 3 and 4 are your oral components, okay? 1 and 2 are your written papers. 3 and 4 are your oral components. Teacher, for the mid-years, will there be a speaking test? Mid-year, usually yes. Okay, mid-year, usually yes. There's usually like a speaking test in like August, September. Yeah, usually there's one there. So that's when it will occur, and then usually at the end of the year, there's one more. Okay. Now, so what are we looking at? Yeah, this is the one thing I want to clarify with a lot of students. A lot of times when you are looking into your components here, right? You need to understand the fact that a lot of students feel like, yeah, never mind, I don't need to focus on my paper 3 and 4. It's very natural. It comes to you as it is. But again, nothing comes naturally. You need to work at it and practice it, correct? So a lot of times what I do encourage students to think of is, at the end of the day, all 4 parts of it, 40, 40, 20, 25, gets divided to itself and then multiplied to 100. What that means is all 4 paper adds up to its role of 25% of your final grade, and you are then provided a 100-mark singular grade for English. So there are situations where students have beautiful writing skills with beautiful writing skills. Their overall grade does get pulled down because their speaking or listening is slightly weaker compared to the rest. So definitely don't relax on yourself in terms of the speaking and listening. You don't want that to be the average or median downfall of your course. Now, so today, each part, yes, each part is 25%. So even though it's 40 marks, it gets pushed down to a 25-mark system. So you see, these two are the oral components definitely weigh more because they have lesser, but they weigh 25%. Versus this one is 40 marks, but they weigh 25. So you do want to kind of work on every section quite equally. Yeah. So today we are particularly focusing on the notes expansion course. Okay. Now let's take a look at this. A lot of students, when they do essays, right, their feeling is that essay writing is creative writing and the teachers mark it subjectively. So what can I do to improve? Or a lot of students make this into a really big issue in your head, in the sense that I have to improve all of my essays to be able to score highly. But here's the thing, there are techniques and skills for you to target score your sections. So if you're able to analyze which part is your weakest link, target and correct that, and then you'll be able to increase your chances of scoring a lot better as well. So I'm sure everybody, hopefully, everybody is familiar with their marking scheme, CCAOL. Now, you've done exam for the past 3 years already, what, right? I'm sure you have seen the CCAOL when your essays is being marked. At the very bottom of your essay, there should be a CCAOL rubric there. So out of 20 marks, each section is provided a 5-mark division. Each section is provided a 5-mark division, and you are able to know what each section is worth and how to score. So if you realize that the common ones that students lose most marks or score least in is definitely their communicative achievement. This is the one where students lose most marks or score the least in. So now what you want to do is analyze your own marking paper, see how your teacher has evaluated you, and then from there, see what is required for you to improve your overall grade, at least target score in certain parts that you're lagging. Okay, so what does content? Let's go through it one by one. What does content mean? Now, how are you going to score in content marks? What you want to look at is 2 things. Number 1, points. Now, you need to identify the fact is that in English paper, Form 1 to Form 5, you are required to have at least 3 points per essay. No matter the length, your 80-word short email, your 120-word long essay, or even as you go into Form 4, Form 5, 250-word free writing. All of them require 3 points as a benchmark. Okay, if you don't have 3 points, that means that minimum requirement you also don't hit, And not only that, not only must you have 3 points, obviously your 3 points answer have to be accurate to question asked. So if you're able to touch base on these two checkpoints, out of your 5 marks, you'll be able to score highly in it. Okay, so that's all you need for content. Now, for communicative achievement, you're looking at appropriateness, kesesuaian, okay, whether it is suitable or not. And when you look at suitability, there's actually 2 things. Number 1, the factual part of it. That means in terms of your points, is it accurate to your question? Sounds the same as point, right? But a bit different. Why? You have your main point. These 2 actually work together. In every paragraph, you're going to be divided into point, elaboration, example, effect, right? So your point essentially is this part. So your communicative achievement is the remainder elaborations. So you're looking at the explanations of your story, your 3E. Number 1, your 3 E's, divided into elaborations, examples, effect. Elaborations, examples, effect. Whether the elaboration, example, effect is suited to your point, number 1. Then going back, is it suited to your question? Okay, so it needs to, that's why it's more difficult, because it's easier to get deductions. There's so many small parts to it, right? That every time you get one small part wrong, you lose a mark. There's more components to your CA. Okay, and then number 2, whether the whole feel of the storyline or the essay is suited or not. That means in terms of your tone, in terms of your vocabulary, did you apply it according to the tonality? If you're writing to a principal, okay, or an adult that you're unfamiliar with, obviously you're going to utilize the formal tonation of things. If you're writing to your friends, your family, whom you can be a bit more casual with, are you writing it in an informal tone? That's very important. Okay, a couple very easy divisions is what? In your introduction, do you always start your essay with, how are you? It's been ages since I've last spoken to you. Now, these 2 statements, is it all encompassing? Can you use it for anybody? Yes or no? Hands on your keyboard, yes or no? Hello, how are you? It's been ages since we last spoke. No, very good. Correct, because it's not informal. If you want to write to your friend, okay. If you want to write to your family members, okay. But let's say the day you are applying for something, you're writing it to a person of higher ranking than you. You should be a bit more proper. I hope this letter finds you in good health. Correct? Because you're not casual enough or you're not friendly enough with your principal to be able to be asking him about his recent condition, his personal life or personal situations, correct? I use formal writing style. Um, it depends again. Then if you write so proper to your sister, I hope you are in the pink of health. Okay, like Santosh's example. I hope you are in the pink of health. This is very formal, right? It makes people think like, hey, this is your sister. Are you not friendly with your sister? Correct or not? So even though it is formal, it also doesn't mean that it is suitable for everybody. You've got to use the appropriate tone to suit the person you are writing to. Okay. So the example that Santosh mentioned, I hope you are in the pink of health. Very suitable for teachers, principals, applying for processes with government people, correct or not? So that one is more suited there. You've got to identify the subject. Okay. So two things there. Now, organization. Organization is essentially your linkers and connectors, your penanda wacanas and your kata hubung. Your penanda wacanas and your kata hubung. Now, this is what I oftentimes encourage my students. Of course, if you can, wing it and do things creatively, see where it's suitable, you apply perfect. But if not, this is my rule. Okay? 3 per paragraph per paragraph, not by essay. I'm not talking about intro, body, conclusion. I'm talking about each bodily paragraph, isi kandungan, you should have 3. And it should be divided into start, middle, end. Now, what do I mean? Now, for starter penanda wacanas, right? That means in the beginning of your paragraph, at the start of it, what are you going to use? Things like for one, besides, moreover, furthermore, all of these right now. I'm only giving you a couple examples for you to just kind of have a grasp of what we're talking about. So these are, I must clarify, these are singular penanda wacanas. Some school teachers don't like this, right? You can use this once or twice, but you cannot use this every single paragraph. I know some teachers actually don't enjoy this. If your teacher don't enjoy this, they probably enjoy what we call a cohesive device, or what I like, in simpler words, sentence starters. That means you use your topic, you use your point, you create a sentence starter without using like a penanda wacana comma beginner. Okay. But that's for another day, okay? Because there's so many things to touch base on lah. Okay. Now, middle is what in class lately, we've actually talked about our fanboy. Okay. Now, people who have been in class, let me know, hands on your keyboard, what are your fanboys? What are your fanboys? And very good. What else? 4. Very good. Santosh. What else? Nor. Nor and the cousin. Or. Very good. B and Y is actually synonyms. What are you going to talk about? So. Very good. You've got but. You've got yet. Okay. So fanboy is a very level 1 connector that we have, that we try and practice with our more factual descriptors, you know, in between your elaborations and your examples. Okay. Now, on top of that, we actually have another one called Isawawa book. But that's more level 2, 3 already. Okay. Now we're gonna move on with the end. As you end your elaboration in terms of your effect here. Okay. In terms of your effect, what can you do? You can do words like therefore, thus, hence, as a result. Okay, so this is how you look at 3 per paragraph in terms of your linkers and connectors. One in the beginning, one in the middle, one before you end. Okay, then your language is just your common grammar, spelling, punctuations. Okay, not only whether it's right or wrong, whether you are able to utilize a variety of it. Do you only use comma, full stop, comma, full stop, comma, full stop? Okay. Do you try and include exclamation marks? Do you try and include question marks in your writing skill sets? So those are definitely a couple more things that you can consider when you're trying to upgrade your writing in terms of your short and long essays. Okay, now anybody needs a bit of time to write this down? Put your hands up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anybody? Nobody? We all good? Okay, so I'm trying to keep things very steadfast. I'm aiming to complete all of the pages here. So let's take a look at this. You are going to start with the different types of note expansion essays. Okay, the different type of note expansion essays. Now, so you've probably seen these before: descriptive essay, narrative essay, and factual essays. Okay, now tell me, what is the difference between the 3 types? I think factual is quite easy to understand, right? Everything is facta based. Okay. It is very 5W1H, very point based. Nothing too confusing or not so much emotional to it. Okay. So if you take a look at sample 3, your school had just visited an IT company last month. In about 120 words, write an essay about why mobile phones are important. Okay, use the notes below to help you. So again, as many of you already know, in my introduction, I enjoy very much defining my topic. So things like what is mobile phone, who needs it, where you can find it, or even these 2, I would put them together, 3, 4. Okay, and then maybe throughout the essay, I would use why it is important as one and how to use it as another one. Then in my conclusion, I'll just do like a slogan advice kind of conclusion. Okay. Now, let's just very quickly go through this. What is the importance of mobile phones? Can anybody tell me? Hands on the keyboard. Let's do a quick warm up. Let's just do a quick warm up. Can do online class. Okay. Okay. Point number 1. I can talk about internet services on mobile phone allows for remote learning. What else? Can access data easier like Google Drive. So you can work on your mobile phone as well. So you can say smartphones provide working tools on it as well, like Google or Teams, Microsoft, correct or not? So you can say you can work on the go. All right, you don't have to sit down and be in front of your computer to access anything. Okay, what else? Point 3. I'm quite surprised that the main purpose of a mobile phone, nobody has mentioned it. Yes, call. Now, of course, you don't just say call lah. What is the main purpose of you calling other people? Correct or not? Decrease distance from relatives. Can I say that? Communication, able to stay in contact with family and friends. Yes, very good. Okay, now coming back to these two that are probably a bit more confusing. What is the difference between a descriptive essay and a narrative essay? Now, anyone want to have a go at it? Anybody want to try and tell me what is the difference? Now, the main difference between the two is what? Descriptive essay is usually about one particular incident, event, or object, or person. Okay, but narrative usually tells one start to end story. One start to end story. So with narrative essays, a lot of time there's like a start, during, and end. There's a BDA. There's a before, during, after kind of series. And a lot of times it includes you and how you have gone through this whole incident. But descriptive essay, right? I can ask you to describe this mobile phone. No? I don't have to have any emotional connection to it. You just need to tell me what is all about this mobile phone. Do you see the difference? If you understand the difference between a descriptive and a narrative, can you give me an okay thumbs up party popper love shape in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Emoji me, respond to me. Okay. So, for example, in this case, you're talking about a particular celebration versus a birthday party. Okay. Now, when you talk about the celebration, give me a celebration that we can talk about. What celebrations have you gone through lately? Most recent in May, you just went through. Or coming up in June, what are you celebrating? Yes, Santosh. Father's Day is coming up, right? June 18th. Just in case, for those people who don't know, Father's Day is coming up. It's June 18th, okay? 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. Okay, if you haven't prepared, prepare now. Okay, so you can talk about Father's Day. Now, when you talk about Father's Day, talk about it as a general description. How do people usually celebrate it? The definition of things, correct or not? And with description, right, you actually need factual pointers like reality. It cannot just be emotional or personal experience only. Okay, so you need to know, you need to, number one, clearly define the celebration, or in this case, Father's Day. It has to have some clear fact plus description of the celebration. Like, what is the purpose of it? Okay. Now, With narrative, it's more of storytelling. How interesting the story is. Okay. The interesting facts plus flowery sentences. So I would say the key feature is flowery sentences versus facts and description. That is the main difference between the two. Go to a fancy restaurant and have a good time for Father's Day. Ah, that one is more narrative, exactly. Good job, Jashan. That one is more narrative. You don't, the way you would phrase a descriptive would be like point one, point two, point three. Okay, you can celebrate it at a restaurant, you can do this, you can do that. Okay, but if you want to phrase it as like, beautiful Sunday morning, I woke up, it's Father's Day. Okay, then you surprise your father with breakfast in bed. You did all his chores, brought him to his fishing spot and like did 2 hours of fishing. Then for dinner, you all go to a fancy restaurant. If there is a whole process, then it is narrative, storyline. But if you just point one, Father's Day is what day? What is the purpose of Father's Day? To appreciate your father. You can celebrate it with family members. You can do activities that your father like. Go to restaurants for a family meal. Bond and relate with each other. Fact, 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 fact. Then it can be descriptive. Do you see the difference between the two? Yeah? Because that descriptive and narrative definitely is something that students confuse themselves with the most, and that affects your CA, correct or not? Because the tone is inaccurate. I asked you for descriptive, you give me storytelling. I asked you for storytelling, you give me factual 1, 2, 3. Okay, we understand, Okay, now let's try this. Today we are going to look at a narrative essay. Okay, it is quite popular for a first term exam to do narratives. It's usually what they consider to be easiest. Okay, when you go from Form 1 to Form 2 to Form 3, it's a easy transition there. Now, with narratives, all right, I'm going to call it storytelling. Easier for you to imagine the tone that I'm requiring from you here. Now, let's take a look at what a descriptive introduction is. Take a look at the couple things here. Last month, my family and I celebrated Hari Raya Aidilfitri in Kuala Lumpur. Number one. Or number two, the blazing golden orb was hanging in the azure blue sky, signaling a great start to the Hari Raya celebration. Number three, the school playground was deserted with not a single teacher or student in sight. Can you tell me what are the 3 techniques applied here? Number one, you see, do you like number one or not? Is it wrong? It's not wrong. I must say it is not wrong. It's just comparatively to 2 and 3, you see the difference, right? So with number one is very fact-based storytelling. You give me all the details. Last month, when, who, family and I, what, why, Hari Raya Aidilfitri, where, Kuala Lumpur, correct or not? It's, there's ways to upgrade it, right? Now, number two, vocabularies like blazing golden orb, azure blue sky, talking about the sun and the sky. You have a weather description. You have a weather description. Okay. What about number three? Look at number three. If number two talks about the weather, number three talks about what? Playground. No one inside. Talks about your surrounding, correct or not? Your environment. So these two are definitely the ones that you are looking at. And how do we usually practice this? This is what I always encourage my students to do. When you do narrative story writing, practice your five senses. Everybody, hands on your keyboard. What are your five senses? Signs me up. What are your five senses? Hello, hello. What are your five senses? Now, what I always tell my students is put a V shape on your face. Put a V shape on your face and start from the top. It's your organ now. But yes, sense of taste. Sight, very good. Smell. Hearing. What about your cheeks? What about your cheeks? What can your skin do? Oh no. Sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hear. Now, why do I not want to use the word feel? Feel is my additional point base here. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between touch and feel? Can anybody tell me the difference between touch and feel? Santosh, are you asking for the first one? Sight, sense of sight, what you see. What is the difference between touch and feel? Touch is like we touch something, okay? Then what about feel? Feel is like we feel something. Hello. What you saying? Yes, xian ang. Kong xian or xian ang? Kong xian ang. Ang kong xian. Yes. So feel is emotional damage. You're feeling emotional. So touch is what? Physical touch. So a lot of times, give me an example of a physical touch. Give me an example of a physical touch. Well, yeah, I am so very hot. Okay, very good. That's your keyboard. Cannot elaborate like that. Let's talk about the actual touch. So you can say that it's very hot because you feel it, right? You feel it upon your skin. You can say that durian was super prickly. You touch the durian was sharp, sharp, prickly, prickly. That is physical touch. Okay. Now, what about emotional? What would you use for feel? Emotional damage. What feel do you have? Very good. Depression. You feel very sad. Give me one more positive one. Give me one more positive one. Happy, excited, eager, can't wait, correct? So, can you tell the difference between touch and feel already? Okay, so this is why I oftentimes tell students in your first paragraph, although I do encourage that you use your five senses all throughout your essay, in the first paragraph, definitely the easiest one to start off your essay would be your sense of sight and your sense of touch. Because touch is very suitable for weather, sight is very suitable for your environment. If you want, sound also can be very suitable for environment. Correct or not? Let's say you are at a park. What sounds can you hear? I mean, you can see a lot of kids running around now. What sounds can you hear? At a park, at a playground. Children laughing, of course. Okay, so you can describe happy giggles all around, children's laughter. You can describe the uncle auntie chit-chatting. Okay, chattering sounds all around also can, right? So many other descriptors that you can apply. But I would say these three, best ones to do. I mean, imagine painting an art piece today. What is the first thing that you would paint the skies, paint the weather and environment first, correct or not? Before you go into the details of painting the little people and what they're doing within the scenario. Okay? Does that make sense? So we're gonna practice these two techniques today. Weather and surround. Weather and surrounding. Okay? So let's do this. And number one, when you describe your essay, number one would be, remember I say weather, right? When you apply your weather, an easy thing to go by it, a lot of times you all like to say last Monday morning in the morning, correct or not? Plus time of day. Why? When the sun comes up, after when the sun is burning, nighttime when it's dark and stars are peppered all over the dark sky. Correct or not? There's very clear divisions. So number one, let's start with the morning description first. What do you see here? Coincidentally, we have been doing environment descriptors in class, correct or not? Okay. We've been doing descriptions of weather in class, Morning, yes. What time morning? Exactly. Great question. So what morning is also a very good division, yeah. You can look at the start of the day. Normal people, 9, 10 o'clock, correct or not? Okay. Now at the break of dawn, when you wake up, at the break of dawn, no space. At the break of dawn, when you wake up, when the sun is still dark out, the sun is just slowly coming up, or in the forenoon. Forenoon means what? Before the sun is literally burning the skin off of you. Okay? Now, what are some things that you can use to describe? In the morning, use your 5 senses. What do you see? What do you hear? Focus on the two things. Focus on the two things. What do you see? What do you hear? You know what? Let me make it easier for you. What do you see in the morning? Sense of sight. Hello, everybody. Let's do this together. Wow, deadly laser. If the morning already deadly laser, afternoon means what? Barbecue already, eh? I could see the sun. Okay, I can say sunbeams. Okay, describe the sunbeams. I can say it dyes everything in gold. I can say you wake up, you rise in a pool of crimson and gold. Now, crimson is actually means a bit red, a bit reddish. I mean, when you do wake up, sometimes the sky might be red or purple, correct? Waliao, the sun's blazing UV rays, the sun's deadly laser that can break our DNA. I know lately, we very hot, but tak sampai like that, right? Now, what else do you see? The sun spill out the sunbeams between or of clouds. Very good. So I'm letting you know the sunbeams can come out of what things are. Now, what else? Can you tell me what do you hear? In the morning, what do you hear? Waliao, flaming ball. Okay, I like flaming ball. That one okay. But you want to use deadly laser, blazing UV rays. That one, I am not very descriptive. Okay, what do you hear in the morning? Alarm clock? Okay. Alarm clock is very logical, what? Especially if your character is a young high school teenager. Alarm clock is so logical. Perfect. Blaring of alarm. Screams of a rooster. Okay. What do you call the sounds of a rooster? The rooster's morning crow. What else? Calling of birds. You Pocahontas or you Tarzan? Can I say chirping of birds a little bit better? Chirp, 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 rather than like you trying to Snow White and gather all the birds. Come to me. Correct or not? What else? Suppose, can I talk about if early in the morning, a lot of traffic, okay, honking of cars, okay. Now, how do you noise? Jin Ang has such a traumatic environment that you're waking up to. Jin Ang has screams of roosters, screaming children, deadly lasers of the sun. Okay. Now, I suppose I could talk about touch as well. You know, oh, this morning was beautiful, isn't it? Waking up to the chilly rain, fair enough. Cool breeze. This morning was beautiful. Uh, kids screaming actually happens in my taman here randomly. So scary. But I must say lately, yes, it has been very hot. Um, many days I wake up in a pool of sweat. That's how hot it is. That is how hot it is. Okay. So all you need to do is once you kind of, have a go at it, practice a couple more times, have your list of things that you can describe your day with, and then you can choose. Create your own storyline, correct or not? So, for example, number one, I can give you an example. I can say the first ray. It cannot be too hardcore, also. You know why, right? Your exam essay is not. Go ahead, Mujun. Go ahead. Your exam essay usually only asked to talk about like celebrations, holiday season, exam season. It's not going to ask you to write horror story where you wake up to like sounds of children being strangled. Am I correct or not? Form 3 level don't have this kind of essay. So even though yes, you can go that direction, It's not going to come out in your school exam, you know? So, I mean, form 5 lah. Okay, form 5 can. But let's focus on first term exam form 3 first, okay? Focus on first term exam form 3. So the first ray, so I'm giving you some more some more beautiful descriptions. You can use present tense sneaked or ed, also can, up to you. Into the room through the lacy curtains. I'm going to give you a couple options that you can pick and choose from. Now, the soft morning beam of sunlight spilled out of the clouds. Number 3, dappled light of the morning. Sun peered. Again, present tense, past tense also can. Through leaves of towering trees. And that is your morning. The first rays of the half-risen ball of fire shone through the curtains into my gloomy eyes. Okay. Gloomy eyes. Wow, you're very sad. Then if you say like that, right, your storyline will be darker, like slightly darker. I mean, if that's the direction you want to go, of course you can. Keep in mind that's what you're going for. Okay? Anybody needs a bit of time here for the mornings? For the mornings? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Afternoon. That's when the heat comes to me, right? Your midday. Your noontime. So same thing. What do you see? This is where your fireballs can come here lah. Blazing sun, your fireballs. Scorching sun. Just to describe your sun, there's already so many words. Shine, merciless, searing, all talking about burning. Okay? If you want to talk about something that's like more uncomfortable, your touch can also be balmy, very warm temperature, very stale, humid. Searing. I mean, if you want a bit more positive, white puffy cloud. And what we've been doing a bit more is the azure blue skies. Great balls of fire. Okay. Now, I actually quite like this one by Jashan. The horrible dream of the night still haunts me. That's pretty nice. But again, like I said, from 1, 2, 3, very rarely you have darker storylines to write about. Store it in your head. Bring it up when you're going to Form 5. Okay, now, so let's give you a couple of examples as well. So in the hot afternoon sun, what do you have? The sweltering sun beats down mercilessly, relentlessly. Okay, you have the roads shimmered in the heat of the midday sun. Whilst the sunlit skyscrapers, that means your buildings are all refracting the sun's skyscrapers. Pierce the azure blue skies. Going on to the next one, you've got the summer heat. Came off the tarmac. In waves. Now, tarmac basically is your tar road lah, huh? Your tar roads. Okay? Anybody needs a bit more time? No? Let's Speedy Gonzalez go through our evening. Now, during evening time, what's happening to your sun or your skies? Sunset, very good. Sunset, what else? As the sun sets, the sky lights itself up in a bloody crimson shade. The man in a weird maroon jacket said to himself, "Here we go again. Oh, Jashan, you and I are going to be best friends in SPM." I love it. Okay, so sun twilight, where the sun sets and the moon starts coming up, dusk and nightfall. Are there a lot of dark stories in Form 4 and Form 5? Now, lesser and lesser. The school government is trying to make you all anak-anak yang moral tinggi. So a lot of times, free writing on like really dark stories have gone down a lot. But you can work around it times. As the sun set, the two couples walked by the sea waters having a whale of a time. Perfect. Okay. So a couple of vocabularies that you can work with. You can definitely talk about the sun sinking towards the horizon. This is a perfect example of a picture. You have silver, white moon. The late afternoon sun, where it's just coming down, not all the way yet. And then when it's really dark, velvety darkness. Okay. Now again, let me give you a couple sentence starters. The sun was slowly making its way back home whilst dying. Dyeing means coloring, not really dyeing. The earth in orange hue. That means an orange shade of color. The beach began to return to its once peaceful state, where you talk about, everyone leaving, visitors leaving, and then it's just peace and quiet. Fading into oblivion. Now, next one. Evening shadows deepened into blues and purples. Anybody needs a second here? Before we go to the final time of day, which is nighttime. Ready? So you're going to talk about the dead of night. Middle of the night where everything is quiet. So definitely a couple different things where it is pure darkness or you have a brightly lit moon sky. Okay? So you have your moonless night sky. You have your inky blackness. Okay? Then your bright nights, you have pale crescent moon, a glow with bright city light, sparkling stars. Okay. Now, if you want to talk about sounds, what are some sounds you hear at night? Howling wolves, though quite far-fetched, I mean it's possible. Hooting owls, chirping crickets, and then if you want to talk about feel, chilly night air. Oh, Jiashan, beautiful. The stars became spotlights for the beautiful moon on the limitless stage amongst the skies. Then I would say limitless space amongst the stars, though. Okay. No. I know what I would say. For your sentence, right, I would actually say the moon became the spotlight for the lone man returning home on the limitless stage amongst the stars. So basically saying how the moon shines down on that one single man walking home. That way you can kind of introduce your character into the story as well. Okay? Now, going through it, you have your paragraphs. Luminous stars. Hi, Ian. Sprinkled across the raven black sky. The night sky was aglow with bright city lights. The blanket of stars stretched to infinity. And with that, we are done with the first phase of today's lesson, time of day. Okay? Now, and we've only done the time of day. Yeah? We've only done weathered information. Yeah. I am going to show you two surrounding. We're not going to spend too much time on this. And then I want to go into exact exam-based questions. Written in the stars, fate is set. The end is night. Okay. We're only going to do two environment, and then I want to go into exam-based questions already. Okay. So you're going to describe your surrounding. Truth be told, personally, I do prefer using surrounding than time of day. I feel like I'll do a combination of both actually. I'll do like one sentence time, one sentence surrounding. I mean, something that you need for both, right? Now, so just some vocabulary that you can pick and choose. If you're talking about parks and gardens, what vocabulary can you use to describe this? Flowers, okay. Blooming flowers. Greenery, butterflies. Lush greeneries. Flitting butterflies. Birds. Actually, yeah, for flowery gardens, I enjoy butterflies and bees more than birds. Right. Bees and butterflies are a combination of things, bah. Okay, I can talk about colors as well. Look at all the colorful flowers. Kaleidoscope. We recently learned about this word of exuberant. That means very vibrant, very loud colors. And then I suppose you need to introduce me some human. Jam-packed with holiday seekers. Okay? And if I'm talking about a cafe, what can I talk about? Smell of coffee. Okay. If I want to talk about food and coffee, I can talk about fragrant or freshly brewed coffee. Smell of freshly baked bread. Wafting in the air. Smell of toasted bread, same. All right. Now I can talk about low murmurs voices. So basically, you don't hear murmur means what? You don't particularly hear clear enunciation of what people are talking about, but there's just like a kind of low murmur. Cling, cling, clang, clang of plate. Okay. Clinking of, I suppose, cutleries, cups, glasses. If I want to talk about humans, I could say warm smile of servers. I could say throngs of office workers hunting for lunch. Also can. Okay? Let's do this. Let's do this. Anybody needs a bit of time to write this down? Can't wait to go into a bit of writing. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Let's try the introduction of a couple different topics. We've got family, we've got food, food and food, the wonders of nature, and special relationships. Okay, we're gonna try a couple introductions, two introductions out, and then we're gonna put this in now. Now, when we're looking at these kind of things, right, what you want to think about is this. Number one, technique. In this case, you're gonna either insert your five senses, either what we say time of day, weather, or your surrounding, correct? And as you do this, obviously in my introduction, I need some people plus the purpose. Why are we all gathered here today? And then how we feel. Are we excited? Are we purposeful? Okay, so time and weather, we're celebrating grandmother's 80th birthday. We can talk about a restaurant, pick the one from one up top. Okay, for all family members. All family members. And then I can talk about what was everybody doing. Catching up. Wait, I mean, we're Asians, man. Waiting for food. Correct? Okay. So we'll do 2 seconds. We'll put the passage down. Now I'm gonna ask you to ignore the restaurant was flooded with. Ignore that part. And then we're just gonna do a new one here. Okay, you're gonna go the murmur of voices gushed into my ears as I walked into the restaurant. Our entire extended family was gathered to celebrate Grandma's 80th birthday. Everyone was busy catching up with each other while waiting for the feasting to start. Thanks. Okay, so in this case, right, you see the murmur of voices. You have your people. You have your purpose. And then the feel. Okay, now same thing, you're going to go with a terrifying incident. terrifying incident doesn't have to start with a terrifying introduction. That way, you can have a bigger sense of expectancy. You get it? Oh, you write like a beautiful morning, then suddenly, bam, bad things happen. So don't worry too much about it. Just kind of set your surrounding first. So, I mean, if we were to choose through the things that we had today in terms of the description, if I choose a beach, I can describe azure blue skies. I can talk about the white clouds. And then what am I doing? Annual beach family trip. And then what do you all do? How do you feel? Can't wait. Okay? You don't have to start ominously already. Because if you start ominously, if you start down, right, there's no sense of twist in it. I already know it's going to be dark. Does that make sense? So I'd rather you do like a sha la 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 and then dun dun dun. Okay? Your friend, don't forget what friend. Who I don't know what you're saying, my dear. Okay? Now, the mackerel clouds in the azure blue sky did little to lessen the searing heat of the summer sun. Ah, your friend had just gone through. Mm. Bring my with me. My friend joined my family trip, can or not? My family and I were back in Moore Beach for our annual picnic trip. This time with my best friend. Who is my best friend? Me, Janice. Mom was busy laying out all the food that she had slaved over as we babbled away in the background. We could not wait to jump into the cool embrace of the sea. Okay, this should be had, I think. Okay. Do you see how I would incorporate my technique into it? So when you take a look at this, it's the technique is not a full paragraph technique. It is just a one-liner usually setting the first sentence of your introduction, you see? So I'm talking about the mackerel cloud. Mackerel clouds are usually the long, cloudy ones. Let me show you. It usually is this type of cloud you call mackerel. Oh, they look like long fish, right? Okay. So it's usually just the first line now. Very rarely is it actually just the whole paragraph depending on it one. Searing heat of the summer sun. Into the cool embrace. The cool embrace of the sea. Okay, and then I suppose the cool embrace of the sea is also a type of descriptive. Okay, now let's try and put this into a big essay. Okay, let's try and put this into a big essay. We might not be able to go through, oh, there's only half an hour. We might not be able to go through the full essay per se, but we can definitely go through the rangka the very least. Okay, rangka. Anybody still needs a bit of time with the introduction example here? No? If not, let's move on to the next one. Now, spend time with your grandmother who looked after you for many years. On Mother's Day last week, write an essay about your celebration. So again, a narrative essay, so very much story writing. I'm going to start by defining it into a WTF. You spend time with your grandmother. Topic, Mother's Day celebration. Format, narrative. No particular essay format. Okay, so I would definitely start off, divide my story into before, during, after. Take a look at my who, what, when, where, why, how. Do you think my celebration is one day or it lasts through a couple of days? What do you think? Do you think it's one day or it lasts through a couple of days? Because there are narratives of events and celebrations that run through a couple of days, one day. Because why? When and where is probably what we did. How it ended all comes down to one month. So I can say it was Mother's Day, went to a restaurant with family. What did we do? Eat, chit chat. What else can you do? Pictures? Maybe pictures can leave to the last, right? Pictures and gifts. Why did we celebrate? Appreciation. And but then you're done. Come on. One day. I mean, not well, one day. Probably one meal time, one time slot already. You finish. Yeah. So how would I go with this? Yeah. In my first paragraph, what do you think I can use? Do you think we should go to a restaurant or celebrate at home? If there's a lot of views, you can definitely go to. I mean, nowadays that I'm old, right? I like to go to a restaurant just because I don't need to clean up at home. But at the end of the day, I like my family coming over just so that we can be loud, rambunctious without worrying about like disturbing other guests. Correct? So I suppose if we want, we could talk about going to the restaurant. Okay. So you can say in your introduction, focusing on the before, describe the restaurant, I suppose. Okay. Do you want lunchtime or dinner time? I think it's fine actually. You know what? I can even do dinner time. And I booked out a private room in a restaurant. So you can definitely describe, add on the description since it's dinner time, the dusk description, sunset description, signaling a beautiful night to come. Okay. Now, once you're there, just say, we are there, your 5W1H. Went early to decorate, set up Mother's Day celebration, focusing on your grandmother, correct? Focusing on your grandmother. Then you can say gradually, guests began to arrive. And who are these guests? Extended family, correct? Now, in your body, you're going to talk about during. During the event, what are you going to do first? Number one, I need 3 points. I remember 3 points. Number one, focusing on food. Food was served, elaboration. Everyone was ravenous, super duper hungry. Example, prove that everyone devoured food. Effect, no morsel of food left. Point 2, after food, what are you going to do? Performance, like any good Asian family. What are you going to do? Entertain grandma. Example, karaoke session. Performances. Not kena. Let me give you specific examples. You can have dances, skits. What is the effect? Everyone in stitches, rolling in the aisles. That means laughing. Both peribahasas for laughing. Can use famished instead of ravenous? Can. But I just felt like we've been using famished so often. I wanted to give you another word. Number 3, dessert plus cake cutting. Closing to the end of your event already, correct or not? So elaborations. Why? It's time to wrap up the night. Example. After dessert, you even had presents, photo session. What's the effect? Sentimental. Now, conclusion, end of night. How do you feel? Bittersweet moment. And what I do like to do is talk about like what did you learn, or what were some advice or suggestions that you have. Okay. So you can talk about to love and appreciate mother and grandmother. How? Pitched in with housework. And that is basically an example, a perfect example of how you would also apply your C and CA, your point and elaborations in a narrative essay. Okay, anybody needs a bit more time? Put your hands up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anybody needs a bit of time? Okay, let me wait for you. People watching the YouTube recorded version, just kind of pause it here or whenever you need to just kind of control the pace of your writing, yeah? Okay, so that is just point-based practicing our PE. Yeah. Now you realize every now and then I have a bit of a feeling to go through, correct? So what are some examples of a feeling that you can do? Now, when you're super happy, what can you describe? Number one, do you see this here? Number one, when you are super happy, I can say that I am on what? I can definitely say that I am on cloud nine. Okay, now number two, all about happy emotions on top of the world. I'm over the moon and I am in seventh heaven. Now, what are some other descriptions that you can use? You can use, I have a twinkle in my eye. I can say, my mouth is stretched wide. So all of these you can use in your description. The corners of the mouth lift upwards. My eyes lit up, beaming with joy. So let's say I have my introduction, I have my first sentence of weather or surrounding, I have my characters, my storyline. Every other paragraph, you can include an emotion, a feeling, correct or not? Okay. And if you want to talk about very sad, what can I say? I'm feeling blue. I am down in the dumps. My heart sinks. Adding to it, you can talk about wanting to cry. My eyes were brimming or welled up with tears. Now, welled up with tears, are you start crying or not? Heaven, it is like in your eye socket. It's gathering in your eye socket. Okay? If your corner of your lips can go upward, it can also go downwards. Corner of mouth were drawn downwards. Lips pouting. Pouting means what? Like that. crying out. When babies or young children, when they're upset, their lips, they kind of like purse together. This is what we call pouting. Finally, you start crying. Tears rolling down her cheeks. Tears rolling down her cheeks. Okay? Now, moving from this, you've got happy and sad, which are usually the common emotions that can be applied. Again, not to say there cannot be any other emotions, but for Form 3, okay, like what I kept telling Jashan just now, beautiful writing, but for PT3, really, there's very rarely, they will give you such dark pieces. It's still very PG-13, happy moments, sad moments, nothing too dark and intense. Okay? Nothing too dark or intense. So on top of that, we have a couple common idioms that you can use in your essay. Many talk about overcoming challenges. Okay, that is definitely a very popular theme that is provided in the PT3 exam, overcoming challenges. So you've got the idiom there, the meaning and the sentence structure there. So for example, action speaks louder than words. What you do is more important than what you say. And then you have the sentence example. You need to understand there's no point in paying me lip service. Lip service means you talk the talk. You got to walk the walk, man. Action speaks louder than words. Okay, so these are all about technical components. If you realize your CA is very low, put this in and you're gonna be able to up it. Okay, now before we wrap things up, can I have you try this out? It is all vocabularies that we have gone through in the description of weather and surrounding. Okay, give you 5 minutes and see how far you go with it. Okay, so everybody put your hands up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do 5 minutes. Let's go. Right. Okay, now tell me what you know first. By process of what I like to do is process of elimination. By process of elimination, tell me what you know. Hitley books. What is Hitley books? Ah, hit the books. Yes, very good. So 2 down. Hit the books. Okay, means you're studying hard. Means you're studying hard. You're hitting the books. Down 3, you've got hooting. Sound that an owl makes. No more? I thought 1 across would have been quite doable. The only one with a K, right? Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscopes are one of those that, like that, and then you turn, 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 and there's like a of colors, geometrical color patterns in it. What else? One down. Yes. Mackerel. Clouds. Remember I say it looks like fish because it's like long, stringy ones. Long, stringy ones. 3 across, remember? Sunbeams through the leaves. You have dappled, light. Sunbeams through 3 leaves. Number 6 should be okay. Nice smell. Nice smell. Spray. Grunt. Nice smell. Okay? And then number 5. Very quiet late night. What do we say? Dead of night. Scroll down. You've got 2 things there, right? You've got the sun. You've got tall buildings. Sky. Scrapers. And last one, the blazing golden orb. How many did you get correct? Not many. Okay. Now, so with this, we focus on a couple things, yeah. Primarily focusing on narrative introductions. We've learned that there are different ways to introduce your subject. Your introduction up then your basic 5W1H, okay? You can use the time of day plus weather. You can use your surrounding. Include that with a touch of feelings here and there. You've got a beautiful narrative essay. And today we have buried you with an incredible amount of vocabulary. Do spend a little bit of time picking those up. And a bit of paribahasas here that are very, very suitable for essays on overcoming challenges. Okay? For people who come regularly to class, I'll see you in class. For those who are seminar attendees, I suppose good luck in your first term exams, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.